Yeah, it's time for Ash and Irons, baby. I'm ready to go back to the Plaguelands. Let's go, baby. I'm ready to be an Iron Lord. Saladin? Hey, where is it, everyone? What's that? What's on the temple doors? Closed for renovation? What the hell? Where is everyone at? Okay, well, maybe I'll just go find the Plaguelands. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe that's where everyone's at. They're already fighting Siva, right? The Splicers. We gotta continue our fight, right? Let's go find out, I guess. Hey, Aphrodite? Saladin? This isn't the Plaguelands. Huh. This looks like Renegades. That's not until next week. Last time Bungie dropped content early was an episode Heresy. I think I'm in the wrong location.
Soon you will embrace the power of the dark side. But that's next expansion. You're looking for the Plaguelands? It's that direction.
Thanks for the directions, though I'm kind of wondering what's with the cheap getup. You're not wearing black gloves. Darth Vader wears black gloves. You're about as fucking cheap as fucking Bungie of this production. What the fuck?
I should have laid off the cigarettes.
What the fuck? What did they do to the Plaguelands? This isn't the Plaguelands. This is just fucking lands. What? What is this? What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? This is the biggest pile of shit I've seen yet. What did they do to the Plaguelands? It's fucking ass. In the wise words of a very angry man, you done fucked up, Bungie. We are back. That's right, with another brutally honest review for Ash and Iron, Bungie's most hated and probably the worst seasonal update we've ever had in Destiny history. That's right, in Destiny history. And I would argue it's among the top updates, along with other expansions, as the worst content we've ever received. Now, with it came the Plaguelands. That's right. If you remember, and if you never played Destiny 1, Plaguelands was a iconic fan favorite locale, along with the Dreadnought. I would say those are the two areas that people are going to remember fondly when they talk about Destiny 1. And yes, there's always going to be nostalgia, red tinted glasses, rose tinted glasses, whatever you want to call them. But if you actually went back and played, you realize that a lot of the charm that the Plaguelands had has been lost with Ash and Iron. In fact, most people didn't think that Bungie was ever going to bring back the Plaguelands, especially since they just refused to even mention anything that happened in Rise of Iron, as if it was some form of abomination. Unironically, that's what we got with this update. An abomination. And I'm not talking about the fallen abominations. No, we're not talking about Thickrell and his gang. No, we're talking about the Plagueland returning into a state that probably should have stayed in the Shadow Realm. When we're talking about Ash and Iron, there's quite a bit we can talk about. I'm going to skip some of the nitty gritty. We are going to be brutally honest because that's what we're here for. But let's just talk about the basics, right? Rise of Iron, absolutely iconic. And many people, when they heard Plaguelands, were skeptical at the fact that we were going to the Plaguelands. Are we really going to return to the Plaguelands of old? Are we going to enjoy the once favorite memorized locations with secrets? Does that mean we're getting Wrath of the Machine? No, we got nothing of the sort. Let's just jump into the specifics, shall we? Let's jump into the weapons, the loot. The seasonal update, with it came a plethora of new loot. Most of them designated and focused upon Drang, Mida, What?
And it's so fun to run around.
And the sidearm is arc, correct?
It is our second arc rocket frame sidearm. It's got a pretty big mag
Huge.
size, so instead of volt shot on this one,
Dude, it looks
has
sexy.
built-in feedback, which is pretty fun to plug a couple rockets into a guy.
Yes, most of the new loot that was advertised for Reclaim, the new activity, was the new Mida and Drang set weapons, meant for the revamped Sturm and the revamped Mida multi-tool. Even though we've had Drang like 3 times come back, and Mida mini tool has come back in 4 different versions. But we brought it back for Ash and Iron. Instead of bringing back some iconic classic Rise of Iron weapons. Not even that, but we also had Iron Banner, which you guessed it, also did not bring any Rise of Iron weapons. Like, not even a callback, not even a shout out to some of the most iconic weapons, things that people have been wanting. Clever Dragon, not even a tease, not even a shout out, just forever abandoned, like our hopes and dreams for the game. Not to say that these weapons are bad. Overall, they just did not meet the theme. In fact, this whole seasonal update makes 0 sense for the fact that we just came off the feet of Edge of Fate. No pun intended with that, by the way. Actually, kind of. Not really. Anyways, the point is, the theme does not match the expansion we just got. How do we go from being on Kepler to the Plaguelands? It almost feels like an attempt to cash in on the Plaguelands member berries. In fact, this is not the first time we've seen this. We have seen this in the fact that Bungie has done that with the Dreadnought. When they brought it back with the Nether, it is all an attempt to cash in on those rose-tinted glasses to make people excited about coming back and playing Destiny, only for them to shoot themselves in the foot by not adding anything that made people enjoy the activities, including the loot. But what about the Plaguelands? People were excited. We're going to be able to explore it, right? We're going to be able to explore the Plaguelands? Kind of, not really. It's kind of like the Nether and the Dreadnought, like you could explore, but you couldn't actually explore. In fact, they learned nothing about the Nether and how people wish to just explore without having to do any activities and to be able to actually have some fun and go from area to area to just really kind of find secrets. Unfortunately, the Plaguelands was split into multiple sections, only that you would be allowed to explore after completing an objective task, just like the Nether, going from 1, 2, 3 spaces. Now, they did allow you to explore afterward, after you accomplished the task, this combination of doing Overflow and the Nether together. You were able to have the ability to actually go and explore, which is nice, until you realize that there's no actual secrets or anything worth the time to explore. We are going to go ahead and jump into Reclaim because we're talking about the destination, and the destination is attached to the activity. So we want to address the activity along with the location. That's right. Reclaim was probably one of the most uninspiring, lackluster activities that we've gotten in a long time, taking what was great about Overflow and the Nether and throwing it out the window. In fact, desperately trying to catch the lightning in a bottle that some of those activities provided, they just didn't do anything. Going around opening chests, collecting useless, Siva nodes, dead Siva nodes, and all it gave you was progress to a score that had no value. I mean, with Overflow, at least if you open chests, you got loot. You got a chance at the exotic class items. Same thing with the Nether. You were rained down with loot. But in Reclaim, those are just empty, hollow choices, making you feel like you're actually investing into the activity in the world, but until you realize it's just an empty husk of what it once was. And I'm not just talking about the loot, lack of loot, but I'm also talking in general, the environment itself is a pale comparison to what it once was. Surrounding it is dead Siva. But we'll get to that in a minute, but not as much as you would think it would be. Most of it is just a dry, bland environment. Going from the entire reclaim mission to mission, from Fallen Bunker all the way to the rocket space station, it is awful. Comparing it to the D1 counterpart, the looking at the fallen tower and the plagues, one has life and the other just doesn't. Not only that, but the iconic environments, having snow fall to the ground, watching as lava pours out of the machines, all that ripped. What made the soul of the Plaguelands was ripped. Now we'll talk about the lore implication of Siva being gone, but the reality is, why has all the machinery and production, why does it feel lifeless? Why is the snow, and what made the Plaguelands exciting and environmentally appeasing, the aesthetics that people loved about the Plaguelands, was ripped and gutted? It's unfortunate that devs wasted time and effort to develop this destination that will probably be rotated out, but we will never be able to experience, and new players, unless they go back to Destiny 1, will never be able to experience the Plaguelands like it once was. All we have is a hollow husk of its former glory. Kind of like how Destiny is right now. Furthermore, when we're talking about Reclaim, when it launched, it was broken. It was bugged. That's right. You would be spawning to the next area instead of going from one destination to another destination like you did in Destiny 1. In fact, if you try to go through those routes, you will find a barrier that keeps you from going and transitioning to the next area. So it doesn't even feel like an actual destination. Instead, you're teleported to the next destination by riding your ship, which at launch would immediately kill anyone who was teleported. That's right, you would immediately die. And at higher levels, you had almost no tokens. The token system coming in and showing its ugly teeth, and it would immediately kill and use all your tokens. But it got worse. If you died via teleportation and your teammate also died, you wouldn't respawn. It wouldn't even wipe you. You'd be stuck in limbo. You would all be dead and you would have to just leave. It wouldn't even wipe you. But wait, it gets worse. That's right, it gets worse. It always gets worse, man. Not only would you wipe and lose all your tokens, there was also bugs that made you not even get your loot. That's right, when you got to the end where you would actually get loot, it would reset and act like you hadn't even beaten the boss. And so you would be in purgatory where you just wouldn't get anything. And when we're talking about the loot you get at the end, not only just throughout this activity do you not get loot, sure, you get minimal drops, you get like low tier, never do you get on tier, on power loot. It's just trash. It is literally garbage. You get straight garbage in between, which makes no fucking sense. But at the end, where you're supposed to get your pinnacles and your high tier drops, especially if you're 550 or whatever, you're getting tier 5s, tier 4s. Well, you have to wait to the very end to get that, and you only got a couple pieces. That's right, you only got a couple pieces. Bungie had to go back and buff the drop rate of the Reclaim to make them more generous for your time. When we just had the Nether, which is ironically one of the most generous loot seasonal activities we ever had, and most people at least liked it for the fact that you could go around and open chests and get loot out of it, even if your team sucked. But what about some of the other activities? Like, yes, Iron Banner has been brought down to one time a season for some odd reason. I don't know why it was delayed. And you would think that they would introduce brand new weapons, and instead they introduced one hand cannon from like season 2 or 3, and it's reprised, and it's now a different element. That was it. Did they introduce new game modes? No. What about armor? Bungie had cited in This Week in Destiny that not only would they be introducing new weapons, they'd be introducing new armor. And it was not that. We were getting a reprice year 2 of Iron Banner armor with a different flavor of color coding. Which is funny because that's the same thing that they did to the seasonal armor, as instead of actually introducing new armor, all they did was quite literally put a different fresh paint on it. So they didn't put any effort to change any armor. They just copy pasted what was already in the game and gave it a new color. This did not come without drama, because remember I said new armor, right? And new weapons, which turned out to be a blatant lie. Not only that, but Bungie was caught with their pants down. That's right. Are we going to forget the fact that Bungie, the artist, had made a specific armor set, the Gladius set, and it had the Iron Banner symbol on it. But when it was released in the Eververse store, it was lacking. Quickly, that artist removed it, but it was too late. The damage was done. The community backlash echoed, and only after Bungie was being blasted did they make a quick and generous change, removing the Gladius set from the Eververse store and changing another Eververse set as the Iron Banner armor of choice. Isn't that funny how all it takes is catching Bungie in a lie for them to actually do what they're supposed to do? Isn't this company amazing? Sure. All right. Let's talk about that exotic mission. Probably the worst exotic mission we've ever had in the game. It is crazy that Bungie had delayed and said they delayed the exotic mission because they were still fine-tuning it.
We also have an exotic mission coming in October. Team's finishing up on that.
Didn't they say that they weren't going to drip feed content anymore? They said they weren't going to time gate it.
And then you play it and realize, what is this awful trash? Why the Plaguelands? Especially when you compare where we were in the bunker for the Heliostat, comparing it to the replication chamber and the environment and the ambiance that it created compared to what we got in Heliostat.
Whoa.
You know, this is not as impressive as Destiny 1 with the Siva, extraction, the war machine. Yeah, this is not as exciting. This looks like a giant ass tent. Oh, hell yeah. Here we go. Let's go see the real. This is a fucking Plagueland fucking bunker, baby. Look at the fucking presentation on this shit. This is it, man. When you think of fucking bunkers in the Plaguelands, this is the vibe and shit that the shitty Heliostat exotic mission doesn't fucking have. The presentation, this shit is hot. The environment, dude, everything about this is fucking sexy. The mission is lackluster and lacked soul. In fact, the final boss is nothing more than a generic Red Legion boss. Valistun. Okay, there's no fucking way that was it. Even with me dicking around, there is no fucking way that was it. The boss was literally a basic ass mini boss. That's it. No effort, minimal effort went into the design of this mission, and it really shows that Bungie is creatively bankrupt, which explains why they're leaning on Star Wars now. But what about the exotic axe? Surely that was cool. Sure, it's cool until you realize that it's not good. Yeah, I mean, can confirm if you're not wasting your time. And I wouldn't use this axe also if I had any other power weapon that I could use that wasn't as useless as the sword, which tells you it's fucking useless if I wouldn't even want to use it for this mission. It's not that good. Why would you an axe that you can't block that is not enjoyable in end game content? Now we're gonna find out with the new buffs that are coming out in Renegades whether it's gonna be enough to make it good. We know a lot of sword artifacts are gonna be taking part, so we'll see how it all plays out. But as it stands, the axe is pretty lackluster. Now we come to the end of the review. That's right. I try to make it very focused on what actually matters, what doesn't matter. We have the lore. This is where everything goes down the toilet the most. That's right. This entire time you've watched me with the D1 Plaguelands and just kind of remind you of what the lore and aesthetic of what the Plaguelands once was. When I tell you that the lore and reason for going to the Plaguelands is so stupid, so generic, that even Bife was baffled at some of these decisions. It makes zero fucking sense.
Is somewhat depleted, right? And she is starting to lose control over her collective. She's starting to bleed individuals at the edges of her collective, and those are the pants-wearing, poker-playing Vex that you saw.
Crime. Yeah.
Exactly. And so she needs to reassert control over her collective. And in order to do that, she needs a signal boost to maximize the power of her waning echo of command. And the best tool for that job is, of course, Golden Age tech. And the best place to find Golden Age tech is in the Vanguard Vault, which is why Ash and Iron begin.
Let's talk about time travel. When you first loaded in, and it was season of Ash and Iron mid-season update, unlocked itself, you were presented with a night mission, an empty tower, which first off makes no fucking sense.
What? They're already in the tower. Only Night Watch available to respond.
I'm afraid that's correct. Maya's tactics are evolving. I'm in the EDZ now, investigating a lead that might explain things. But I'll need you to defend the tower while I get some answers.
You're telling me that we get invaded at night because everyone's off duty, after we were invaded by the Red Legion, after we had the Vex invade the city, after the Witness shows up in front of our planet and our doorstep? You're telling me that the tower is unguarded? What the fuck are you talking about? But I digress. What else, Mr. Game Council? What else? What about the lore? Not only are we introduced to Maya Sundaresh, who's trying to use the Vex to steal Golden Age tech from the tower, but she sends a familiar foe, one that I don't think anyone saw coming until Bungie announced it and made everyone scratch their head as to how the hell they came back. But we have the Red Legion. That's right. You all wanted the Red War, right? Well, we got the Red War at home because we have another invasion with the Cabal.
What the fuck? So they just really just throw in fucking Red Legion and no one's gonna talk about it?
This unit has a call sign dating back to the Red War. Gaul's elite. They were here the day the tower fell.
They're wearing devices. The yoke of control. Maya Sundaresh, the conductor, controls this.
Of course.
You can't make this shit up, man. You can't make it up. And the reason that they are here, it's not because, they survived by taking shelter somewhere, even though we destroyed the Almighty. It's because Bungie technically wrote this. Maya Sundaresh used the Echo to control the Vex to go to a timeline where the Red Legion still exists and brought them to our timeline to then steal Golden Age tech in order to strengthen her control, because she was losing control on the Vex because the Echo was losing power. And so instead of going into a timeline where she could steal maybe another Echo, or maybe she could steal other Vex that are stronger, or steal anything, you just go a timeline where a copy of her exists. She steals and brings forward the Red Legion from a different timeline.
Yeah.
Maya's influence grows with the day.
She has access to the entire Vex network. She must have found another timeline where the Red Legion are still around and yanked them into ours.
Are you fucking... She used a timeline to bring back the Red Legion. They can't bring back Siva. Guys, it's the fucking MacGuffin. You can't make this shit up, man. Get the fuck out of here. You cannot make this shit up, man. You just can't. She went back in time to get the fucking Red Legion. That's the plot. That's the excuse for why the Red Legion exists. She went back in time. So you can't go back in time and get the splicers? You didn't go back in time to control the splicers? We're just gonna be like, nah, bro. It's all good.
Listen, nothing says you're creatively bankrupt than relying on time travel to be your ex machina bullshit. To be the MacGuffin, to be the Hail Mary of how does this make fucking sense? The power of time travel. That was it?
That's the Quicksilver energy signature. One from another timeline.
What?
Take it, Guardian.
What? Quicksilver? Not Siva? Wait, why does she have Quicksilver from another fucking timeline when we have Quicksilver in this fucking timeline? It's a Nia fucking Muna! What the fuck do you mean? Chooses to invade the tower and then the Plaguelands for Golden Age tech. Even though some of the most advanced technology is in Neomuna. Not only that, but there is already a Vex network attached to Neomuna where she could use the current Vex there to infiltrate and steal tech from Neomuna. Not only that, we continue on. Why is she going back in time to get the Red Legion when she can go to the crashed Typhon and use the Shadow Legion? It's not like all the Shadow Legion just magically died. Or you're telling me that massive dreadnought invading Neomuna is completely empty. There's nothing at all. There's not a single soul on that ship. That's right. I'm not even a writer, and I can still come up with things that make more fucking sense. This is like elementary fan fiction, but it gets worse. There are so many areas that Maya could have invaded, but she chose the tower and the Plaguelands. You could have chosen any other area. We could have gone to Mars. There's the bunker there. That would have made sense. We could have gone to Europa, and that would also make sense. There's so many prime locations that the Plaguelands was not needed to bring back. This was solely Bungie's way of tying up loose ends to piss off the community with their shitty story, but to also use it as a rose-tinted glasses, nostalgia bait to get people to continue to play their game. The Heliostat mission at the very beginning, Lodi, for some fucking reason, they shoved him into the season to make this guy just, I don't know why. Lord Saladin, nowhere to be fucking found. Even hell, Kaido would have made sense since the Cabal and Red Legion were part of her boyfriend's, posse. Nothing. No crickets. Nothing. Not even crow sounding off. Just nothing. Right at the rip, we get this exposition before we even go into the mission that Siva is dead because Rasputin is dead.
To lingering Siva, tech described to me as infinitely replicating evil nanomachines.
Where's Saladin?
Well, now it's kaput. The last of the Siva died with the Warmind Rasputin.
What?
The danger ahead is an unknown one.
I thought that the Siva died because of the replication chamber was destroyed. So even the arguments of the retards of the community, they're like, they can't bring Siva back. That wasn't even the reason why it fucking died.
You'll be joined on this expedition by a squad of scions allied with the forces of the city. They're experts in a wide variety of fields, including manipulation of Quicksilver, a Neo-Mooney nanite technology that may prove useful here.
That's right. This rampant, out-of-control, virus-infecting nanite death machine that was being used by the Fallen. It had nothing to do with the replication chamber being destroyed. It had nothing to do with the Prime being destroyed. It had nothing to do when Rasputin died. Siva died with it because apparently it was connected to Rasputin the entire time, even though Rasputin was offline and was not in control and was dormant. Apparently Siva was still allowed to exist, even though there's some major plot holes to this whole, the Rasputin was the reason Siva still existed. First one is, what about the dead splicers that are all over the Plaguelands? In fact, it was explained in the story as you play the game that the Fallen were pushed back by the Cabal and Maya's Vex. That's right. The splicers, still covered in, are found dead fighting the Maya's forces. And lastly, the most obvious is, hello, Outbreak Perfected here. Hey, there was a whole story about how the Fallen, the Devils are trying to get access to the Outbreak Perfected to get Siva nanites. That was a whole thing in 0 hour. How the hell is this gun still functioning? How's this gun actually, working if Rasputin is dead? If it could shoot out nanites still, and it's still functional, that means Siva can still survive outside of Rasputin. It was very obvious this is just Bungie's big finger to the community to get them to shut up, to get them to stop talking about Siva, to just finally say, you know what, Siva's dead. Even though they literally played themselves by showing that Maya Sundaresh could go back in time to get Siva or to bring Rasputin back. Things that you can do with timey-wimey shit that it's just obvious that it was poorly written, poorly thought. It was just a quick, impulsive decision to crank out content to try to pull people back in because, ooh, the Plaguelands, isn't that exciting? This whole season encompasses everything that's wrong with Bungie and Destiny right now. Every minimal viable product. That is Destiny 2, the game currently. And Bungie does not respect what people in the community enjoy, the Destiny community, the few people who are still crazy enough to still play this game. Bungie does not respect you. They do not care about you, and they do not care about what we like and dislike. Because if they did, they would never have put out this travesty, this monstrosity, this abomination of an update to do everything possible to piss the fuck off of everyone. I don't think there's a single person that enjoyed this update and the lore to which it tried to provide, which makes no fucking sense. I cannot wait for the day that they kill off Maya Sundaresh so we can have one of the worst villains gone. And the Echo itself, the ex machina, the MacGuffin of bullshit, can finally go the fuck away. I am ready that time travel goes away and we're back to just using space magic and a gun instead of let me just pull something out of my asshole and make it work, because that's been the Destiny logic for the past year. I'm Mr. Gaming Counselor. Until next time, I'm gonna go play some fucking Destiny 1 and I'm gonna pull out my Outbreak Perfected, or actually it's Outbreak Prime in Destiny 1, and I'm gonna shoot some splicers because fuck this Plaguelands. It's the fucking plague to Destiny 2. I'm fucking out. That's right, I'm fucking out.